Hello and welcome. My name is Samuel, and in today's video we'll be unboxing Canon's new EOS R6, as well as the battery grip, and I'll be providing a brief comparison to the EOS R and why I chose to purchase the R6 as an EOS R owner and operator. We'll start with the battery grip. I really enjoy shooting with the battery grip. It provides an excellent balance when using larger lenses. My current favorite lens is Canon's RF 70-200, and so having the battery grip on there really makes it a much more comfortable shooting experience. I've also found that my video capabilities are much more steady when using a heavier camera, and I'm happy to carry it around for hours on end. It really doesn't bother me. This is the battery grip R10. And I am very excited to be able to use one of these joysticks. I found that the EOS R and the RP can be quite slow to move the autofocusing point. So I think this is going to be a great upgrade for my style of shooting. And now for the R6. You know, the manual is not as thick as most people say. It's offered in multiple languages, and so the actual manual in English is much smaller than what it may appear to be at first glance. And I do encourage reading the manual because I do find that there are features that are often overlooked by most people. And we've got the battery charger. I suspect in the near future I'll be purchasing either a double or a quad charger. I've been looking into those. They're quite expensive, but I do think that for my lifestyle I shoot often, and it will be nice if I can charge 2 or 4 batteries at a time. And having the EOS R and the EOS R6, I could plug them both in and then effectively charge 4 batteries at a time, and that would be perfect for my lifestyle and shooting style as well. Alright, we have the new battery. This is the LPE6NH, their newest format for their lithium battery, offering a slightly increased efficiency. I do appreciate that they've kept the form factor throughout the years and that the batteries are backwards compatible. I have LPE6, E6N, and now E6NH batteries, and they are all able to be used in the cameras, so that's a really great quality that Canon has kept in their offerings. Got the EOS R6 strap. I find myself using the Peak Design slide strap. It's very comfortable, and I do use a battery grip, and so the camera is often weighing between 4.5 and 6 pounds, so having that thicker strap is very comfortable and desirable for all-day shooting. I recently covered an Uber truck LED campaign in Washington, D.C. just last week, and we left at 5 a.m. and didn't get back until 11 p.m. and we were in D.C. for the better part of 12 hours, and we were shooting for the better part of that 12 hours. 9 to 10 of those hours we were actually with camera and on the go, on the job. So I found that that strap provided all-day coverage, and again, the strap that I'm talking about is Peak Design's slide strap. I think it's an excellent choice, and I'm very pleased with it so far. I have a variety of Peak Design products, including slings, messengers, backpacks, straps, as well as their capture clip, and I think all of their equipment is absolutely top-notch, and I would recommend it for sure. It does come with a higher upfront cost, but in the long run and throughout the years you're going to be very grateful that you chose to use a quality piece of gear. As someone else has said, buy it nice or buy it twice. Alright, and let's time to unveil Canon's new EOS R6. And then we'll stack it up against Canon's EOS R. And I will be putting the battery grip on the R6 as well, so you can really get a good idea of what these size comparisons look like. Gorgeous. Very familiar. It's noticeably thicker than the EOS R. Very comfortable in the hand. This is much appreciated actually. I think the slight increase in body size is absolutely welcomed. The RF lens lineup is quite heavy and the lenses are quite large. I do prefer the capabilities that they offer and am willing to have a slightly larger and heavier lens. I really appreciate pushing the boundaries of performance in all areas of my life, and that often comes with a sacrifice, and that sacrifice for the Canon L lens lineup is typically weight and size, but that's one that I'm willing to bear. Now, I do appreciate the mode dial on the EOS R. I do think it's a good design, and it does offer you almost twice the capabilities because you have a full set for photo and video. And you can switch between them very quickly. Once you're accustomed to it, it really is a fast transition. But I do also really enjoy using the mode dial that's on the EOS RP, and I know that I'm going to be right at home using the R6. I think that it's just very fast, it's very tactile, and I'm really excited to go under some high-stress situations, some time-sensitive situations like a wedding or like an event, and be able to use this type of system. I think this is absolutely going to increase the speed at which I can operate, just based on the autofocus, based on being able to keep a backup SD card in there at all times, and also the joystick. All of these things are just going to make for a smoother, more efficient shooting experience. I also think that the number of keepable or deliverable shots is going to be higher, specifically because of the IBIS. I think that the majority of the images are going to be much sharper than if the IBIS is not present, and so I'm very excited to test that with something like this Samyang. This is the new RF autofocus 85mm 1.4. I think it's an excellent lens. It's excellent on the RP and the EOS R, but I think it's really going to reach its final dragon form when it's paired with the EOS R6 and its IBIS. Dual SD card slots. We've now got the wheel on the back. I think that's going to make for much faster adjustments. That in tandem with the joystick, this camera is absolutely going to be one of the fastest cameras that you can use. And like the EOS R and the R5, it does also offer the shutter protection mechanism. When you disconnect the lens, it brings down the shutter so that your sensor stays dust-free. I absolutely love that. I think that could be potentially a game-changer quality, especially as an adventurer. Having something that keeps that dust when you're in more challenging climates or terrains is very much welcomed. The weather sealing on the R6 is also very good. The EOS R is very good. Last week when I was in DC on that all-day shoot, a large portion of the night was in the rain, and I was able to confidently shoot video and stills while in the rain. And that was using Canon's RF 70-200 lens, 2.8. It is also weather sealed. And I had absolutely no damage done to the camera, and I was out in the rain for a good hour. Alright, so we'll get this battery grip on here. I've actually got two LPE 6NH batteries ready to go. No waiting around to charge, because like I mentioned before, the new battery is the same form factor as the old battery, so gone are the days where you have to charge the battery that comes with the camera before you can even turn it on. Now you probably have at least one or two batteries lying around from one of these cameras that Canon has made over the years. So there's just a small spring-loaded switch here at the bottom of the battery panel, and you just depress that and this will come right off. Unlike the EOS R, this one actually already has the port ready for it just underneath the battery door. The EOS R actually has a separate piece with a covering on it that you need to remove so that you can plug in the battery grip. But this one's all contained within the battery compartment here, so good to go on that. And the battery door will actually stow in the battery grip, so you don't need to like put it somewhere different. You don't need to remember where you put it. It will always be right with your camera, so if for any reason you actually have to take the grip off, you can just get it right back to the way you need it to be with the battery door because it's right with you all the time. And to install that, again, you just depress the spring-loaded switch and you'll be able to attach it to the battery grip. Easy as that. So you'll just press the two together until they make first contact, and that's when you'll rotate this knob here, which is threading itself via a bolt into the camera body where the tripod would normally mount. And there we have it. So we've got the EOS R and the EOS R6 side by side with the battery grips on, and I'm actually using the Canon EOS RP to film this video with the 70-200 2.8. It's the first time I've used this lens for a YouTube video with a setup like this. I really like it. I think it's providing a really great depth of field. It's a relatively bright and fast aperture, and so I thought I would give it a try. I also do really appreciate the compression of a telephoto lens. So for me, I think one of my favorite setups will be something like this. I would actually even be open to trying it with an 85mm 1.4 or 1.2 just for fun. I really do appreciate the subject separation that comes with a fast aperture and a telephoto zoom. So far so good with the RF 70-200. I would highly recommend it for even just something like this in the studio. Yeah, so side by side, these cameras are near identical in their form factor. Again, there's a little bit more on the EOS R6, and that's obviously to accommodate some of the additional features, namely the IBIS and the dual card slot. But all in all, if you were to grab one camera and go to the other one, you would have no trouble at all navigating your way around and feeling very comfortable and right at home and familiar with either of these camera bodies. Right now, I imagine that what I'll do is main shoot with the EOS R6 and have the EOS R as a backup. I do have the EOS RP as well, and I am considering selling the EOS R, but time will tell. One of the things that I'm really interested in doing is actually being able to shoot a wedding with one camera body. I'll have one as a backup, but instead of using two primes, I'd really like to try Canon's RF 28-70 f2. I do think that that lens is going to offer me the capability, a near capability of what two primes would offer, but I only have to carry one camera. I really like having a very efficient, neat, a very streamlined system, and so two cameras is great, and I think it provides amazing capabilities and probably the best possible quality because you can use two primes and because you can have so much capability at any given time. But I do think that the RF 28-70 f2 is going to be very close to that, especially for something like a wedding. So I'm excited to try that out now more than ever, having the IBIS of the EOS R6. Now, I will say that even with a lens like the 70-200, which is one of my favorites as far as the images that it produces, the depth of field, the subject separation, and the background compression, I was able to shoot probably 90% of the wedding photo and video on the 70-200, and there were portions of the wedding that were inside as well as outside, and some of those indoor shots were in very small quarters, but still at 70 millimeters, a lot of the shots don't need to be full head-to-toe shots of the bride or the groom. Most of the shots are just going to be of the head or of the upper body. And so even with a 70-200 indoors in a small space, typically the 70-200 I think is going to be an excellent choice as an all-around lens for the majority of a wedding or event coverage. And I imagine that the 28-70 f2 paired with the 70-200 2.8 in my messenger bag is going to be a wonderful, streamlined, fully capable system. A little bit about why I decided to purchase the R6. I am a new working professional, and one of my main interests is providing hybrid coverage, photo and video, for weddings. I really enjoy fast-paced and time-sensitive environments. I perform very well in those types of environments, and they keep me very engaged, and they are very fun for me to participate in. For many years, I was a tactical shooter of handguns, rifles, and shotguns, and while those days are behind me, I do find myself utilizing all of the training that I've learned in that realm with cameras. And so while at one point I shot to destroy in my life, I now shoot to create. And I must say the transition has been seamless and it is exhilarating. I have a lot of fun using these great tools, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for me. And especially shooting weddings, it's absolutely just an honor, and it is so much fun to shoot. I have my next wedding, just my second wedding, coming up next week. I'm flying to one of my favorite places in the country, and that's Austin, Texas, to shoot a wedding. And my partner, my wife, my dragoness, she'll be coming as well. She does everything with me, and together we are just a force to be reckoned with, and we have a lot of fun. And I'm really excited to continue this path of weddings, because being able to shoot when the pressure's really on, I love that. And I also love that I get to be a participant in one of the greatest love rituals on the planet. You know, the greatest love ritual, the love dance, the mating sequence of the human species. It really is a fascinating thing, and I'm just honored and humbled to be able to break into that. And I must say that YouTube has offered the most amazing place of learning to be able to really prepare yourself for anything that life has to offer. I've essentially learned how to build an entire camper van, an entire tiny house on wheels, because of YouTube. I've learned how to shoot a wedding because of behind the scenes and people like Taylor Jackson offering so much information that on my very first wedding, having never second shot, having never been an assistant, I felt absolutely confident and comfortable and familiar in the wedding space. That's magnificent. And I really would like to be able to contribute to that and to allow that system of YouTube to continue to grow. I think it's one of the greatest exchanges of information in the universe. So I'm really happy and proud to be participating in that experience. So some of the reasons that I bought the EOS R6 while being an EOS R owner and RP are not because I think I needed to upgrade, but because I thought it was going to be the best decision for my path as a photographer and videographer moving forward. Things like the dual card slots as a wedding photographer are just absolutely welcomed. Now, I don't think they're necessary. I do use the Sony Tough cards, and I think that if you're using a quality SD card or memory card in general, specifically the SanDisk Extreme Pro or the Sony Tough cards or the Sony Tough cards, I think that the likelihood of you having any kind of failure is extremely low. And if you really wanted to play it safe, instead of removing the card once your wedding is over, you could simply plug in a USB-C and do a direct file transfer right into your computer or tablet. Nevertheless, knowing how long I think I'm going to want to play that game of wedding photography and videography, the dual card slots was something that was really of interest to me, and I do think that we owe it to our clients to really provide them with the best experience possible, and having levels of redundancy is absolutely a part of that. Another big reason that I got the EOS R6 was because of the new dual pixel autofocus 2. Again, I think that in the wedding space, you've got one chance to basically have the best performance of your life every time while you're shooting photo and video. And something like a rock solid and reliable autofocus system is going to make monumental changes in your level of confidence and your stress mitigation for not only you but your clients as well. You're really going to be able to come out with usable content all the time, no matter what kind of pressures are on you and how much time limit is imposed. And so having that next generation of autofocus is going to make my job much more enjoyable. So I greatly welcome the dual pixel autofocus 2 as well as the dual card slots. Now I'm also very excited to test the wheel and the joystick on the back. I think those two things are also going to greatly increase my capabilities as a camera operator. And finally, the IBIS. The IBIS is a big part of being able to have more usable images and higher quality, sharper photos, especially with lenses like the 28-70 f2 or the prime lenses like the 85 or the 50, any of those unstabilized lenses. Having that IBIS in the camera body is just going to give you a much higher retention rate for sharp and deliverable images. So with all of those things in one package and at the price point that is just about what the price was for the Canon EOS R when it launched, is really just mind-blowing, and it is truly an amazing offer from Canon, and I'm very grateful to be able to use a piece of technology and equipment like this so soon to the release. We found some great success, honestly, in our new business endeavor, and we've been able to book over 20 jobs in the first 2 months of really even using cameras, and so we're very grateful and humbled by that as well. Let's put a lens on here and see how everything feels. This is the 24-105 f4. I found that this 24-105 is an exceptional event lens. If you've got good lighting and you're not providing coverage that demands a very shallow depth of field or a very high amount of subject separation, this 24-105 is just excellent. I think for anything that is photojournalistic in nature, this might just be the best lens that you could get. So I've absolutely loved using this lens. This was one of the primary lenses that was used for our 12+ hour coverage in Washington, D.C. last week, and it really just is an exceptional piece of equipment. I love that it's stabilized, and I'm able to switch between photo and video just with ease and really have a high level of usable images because of that. This was the lens that was used as well as the 70-200 for the most part at the wedding. And then once it got darker, we switched to Canon's RF 35mm 1.8 prime. We needed that brighter aperture. The images were, starting to break down a little bit because of the ISO being above 5,000. But once we put that 35mm 1.8 on there, we were just back in action, no problems at all. I'll also note that I have no issues with the overheating that's in the Canon EOS R6 or the R5, and that's because I shoot exclusively 1080p. There's absolutely no demand in my current life to shoot 4K, and so everything that we do is shot in 1080p, and most of what we do is in JPEGs. Now the wedding is obviously shot in RAW because that's something where we really need that dynamic range and that ability to push those files around in Lightroom. But for the most part, we're shooting 1080p, and we're shooting 1080p IPB, and we're shooting JPEG. Like, my philosophy is to edit as little as possible. I want to spend more time out there shooting and booking clients, working with clients, and managing the business, and much less editing. I do enjoy editing, and I'm sure that I will continue to grow and improve and enjoy editing even more, but I think a general philosophy of mine is to sit down at a computer as little as possible. And so one of the ways that we do that is using 1080 IPB as well as JPEGs, because honestly, out of these Canon cameras, out of these new cameras, the images are just gorgeous. The way that it renders really is usable and deliverable in most cases, and so we're happy to shoot JPEG, we're happy to shoot 1080p. We have no demand right now to use 4K, and if we ever do, I think it's going to be a slow demand and it's going to be a rare client. But for the most part, I think for the most of the world, People just want 1080p. People just want JPEGs. If you really want to go above and beyond and shoot RAW, shoot 4K, that's great. But I find that that's more of just a professional curiosity. That's something that you just naturally are inclined to want to do as you grow as a professional and as a camera operator. You always want to reach the highest levels, but right now we're trying to just keep it basic, stick to the fundamentals, and really get strong and really get efficient at running our business. And so one of the ways we do that is the 1080, is the JPEG, and we're happy to do it. And the R6 is absolutely going to do that. 1080p, JPEGs, RAWs, this camera is going to have zero trouble overheating. I know it, and so I'm excited to use it. There's literally zero downsides to this camera. If the overheating is not a downside for you either, there's no reason that this isn't going to be an absolute perfect camera and companion for you and your business. So thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and if you stuck it around to this part of the video, I really do appreciate it. This is a new channel, and I love YouTube. I love making videos. It just really gets me excited, and I love helping people. I love teaching. I love sharing my experience, and so I really do want to grow in this community, and I want people to watch my content, and I want to watch other people's content and grow and learn and teach and share. And so I'm just very excited to be able to do this, and I'm very grateful. I'm very humbled. I really am a very fortunate soul these days, and and I know it. And so I really look forward to being able to connect with more people, more like-minded people, and be able to attend events when those come around again. So thanks for watching, and stick around, because I got a lot of content that's going to be like this. A lot of content for behind the scenes. A lot of content on some really fun and exciting opportunities to use this great equipment. I'll also be providing a lot of reviews and just my own personal experience with all of these things. So thanks again, and enjoy your life. Thank you very much.